Hello and welcome. My name is Telisa. Today's class is a class for breakups, broken hearts, heartaches. All we need is our mat and ourselves. If there are any other props you know that you like, then go ahead and grab them. But we're going to get started in a child's resting pose. So come to meet me there. Let's make this a little bit more active. So we're going to try to pull the hips back. Your knees can be splayed or together, personal preference. And rather than resting the elbows down on the mat and making this more passive and complacent, we're going to reach the fingers forward. Maybe lower the forehead onto the mat. Keep pulling the hips towards the back of the room. Bearing in mind, it doesn't matter what it looks like. If your hips are tight and you're more upright like this, that's fine. We want sensation, not a perfect aesthetic. If your forehead is in contact with the mat, roll your head left and right, giving yourself a little forehead massage. Come and find stillness. Your eyes can be closed. And we're deepening the breath. Steadying the inhale. And then matching the exhale. Couple rounds of breath just to bring us into the here and now. Feel the pressure of the mat, the ground beneath you. Acknowledge the thoughts, the pain that may be floating around in your mind. Just strive to set that aside. Acknowledge it. Promise it that you'll come back to it after class. But for right now, we're focusing on our breath and our movement. Let's gently pull ourselves up through tabletop and just gently lower onto your stomach. With broken hearts, any form of heartache, our hearts can feel very vulnerable. And rather than trying to resist that, deny it, defend it to protect our hearts, let's embrace it and let's make our hearts even more vulnerable. So we're going to start with some heart opening poses here. So coming into a gentle cobra, tucking your tail between your legs to take any crunch out of your lower back. Hands are on either side of your chest. If you pick up your hands, nothing changes because we're using the strength of the spine to lift up. Soft gaze, just slightly ahead of you. So we've got a rather neutral neck. Not being too forceful on this first round. You can squeeze your shoulder blades together to lift up just a little bit more. And then let's bring our forearms in front of us for Sphinx pose. So from here, I want you to pull your chest through a little bit, and then looking straight ahead, you're going to push your head back against an imaginary wall. Push the ground away from you, so you're shrugging your shoulders away from the ears, getting a little bit more active. Engage the legs. You can lift the kneecaps up off the mat. Keep tucking your tail between your legs. Exposing your heart. Acknowledging its hurt. Let's now extend the fingers out in front of us, coming into a little bit more of a gentle upward facing dog. Still just easing our way into it, being kind to ourselves. Another round of breath here. Let's slowly lower down, bring the hands a little bit wider, and we're going to wave a little bit. So undulating through the spine, coming up into that gentle, partial upward facing dog, and then waving the spine back down. Inhale to come up. Exhale to come down. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Bring your hands to either side of your chest. And let's come into a more active upward facing dog now. So pushing the ground away. Push the shoulders away from the ears. You can shift a little bit forward if you need to with the feet. You can keep it a little bit more relaxed by keeping the legs in contact with the mat. Personal preference for your gaze as well. Keeping the gaze a little bit down, straight ahead, gently lifted, or bringing the gaze all the way back. Whatever feels good to you. Using the core, let's pull our hips back into a tabletop position. Continuing on with some more gentle heart opening, we'll come into our cat-cows. So inhale, lift the chin, lift the tail, let the belly drop for our cow. Exhale, tuck the tail, tuck the chin, rounding through the spine for cat. Few rounds at your own pace. Settle into stillness right here. Turn your fingers to point side to side. And now we're just going to rock side to side. We'll be coming into downward facing dog eventually, so we're just going to gently warm up into the wrists, just to prepare them for the weight bearing. Going side to side for a few more rounds. You can grip through your mat with the fingers so that middle finger knuckle is lifting up off the mat. Gently release that. Before coming into our downward facing dog, we're going to do another heart opener here. We're going to do 2 rounds. The first round is going to be more gentle. And so if you need something more gentle, then I implore you to do 2 rounds of this gentle version. And if you feel like you need something a little more active, then you'll follow along with me for the 2 different rounds. Let's tuck the toes. Taking my left hand to my left heel, pushing my hips forward first, squeezing through the glutes to help push. And then if it feels good, right arm comes up, drop the head back a little bit. And for a half camel pose here. Using strength to come back up. Let's do the other side. Right hand to right heel. Push the hips forward first. And then maybe the gaze drops back. Left arm lifts overhead. Come back through center. So again, you're more than welcome to do another round of that more gentle version of camel. If you'd like to explore full camel with me, we're going to bring our hands to our lower back, thumbs pointing to the outside, fingers pointing down. Push the hips forward to start. Keep the chin tucked. Keep pushing the hips forward as you lean back. Maybe we stay here, or maybe we lower one hand down at a time for the heels. Now, camel can be really intense, so if you think you're up for it, gently release your head back. Keep pushing the hips forward. And tuck your chin. Bring one hand to your lower back and then the other. Using strength, come all the way up. Untuck the toes, sit the bum back on the heels, release the arms. We're all in this gentle kneeling position. Gaze is 2 or 3 feet in front of us. A couple rounds of breath here just to note how we feel. As I mentioned, camel can be a very intense pose for some of us. So checking in to see if it released anything for you, if it brought anything up for you. No judgment, just observing. Gaze is focused. Breath is steady. Well, once you're done observing, bring the hands in front of you, coming through tabletop. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Keep a generous bend in your knees to start, more generous than you want. So it's almost like you're in this half pouncing position. Ideally, we'll get our rib cage to come in contact with our thighs. But if that's not possible for you, that's fine, as long as we're striving towards that. Really open up through the shoulders. So just checking in and noticing if you're kind of piked through the shoulders here. And see if you can pull your shoulders further back away from your wrists and closer towards your legs. And once we've got this pounce position, maybe we start to straighten a little bit through the legs without moving or shifting the upper body forward. You can pedal it out here. And since we've warmed up through the spine a little bit, we're going to do our down dog spinal waves. Open up through our heart a little bit more. So from this down dog position, finding some stillness, we're going to tuck our chin. And as we round forward, making sure to round through the spine as much as possible, trying to get that cat shape. Lower the hips, gaze comes up last for our upward facing dog. Bending through the knees, leading with the tail, implementing that cow shape so the gaze stays up. We pull our hips all the way back. Gaze comes back towards the legs last. Let's do a few rounds of that. Again, we're not looking for perfect shapes here. We're looking for sensation. So if this doesn't feel natural or smooth for you, but you play around with your movement and find something else that works, then by all means, stick with that. This is your practice. Anything I'm giving you are merely recommendations. You're always welcome to make your practice your own. Few more rounds. And let's come to find stillness in our downward facing dog. Adjusting your feet, maybe coming back into that half pounce position and then straightening the legs. Think about lifting your hips up towards the ceiling a little bit more, flattening through the back a little bit more. And look between the hands and tiptoe the feet to the middle of your mat and bring your feet to the width of your mat, toes slightly turned out. We're going to sit down for our yogic squat. The hips can also hold a lot of emotion for us. So we're going to work into the hips now. If the hands are down in front of you to help with balance, if your heels are lifted up off the mat, that's all fine. We're just looking for that opening. Maybe you can bring your hands through to heart center. For a little bit more, you can even push out on your legs with your elbows and in on your elbows with your legs, creating that opposing force and finding some ease within this effort. Nice tall spine, and choose your dristi, your focused gaze. Let's bring a little bit of movement into this now. I'm just going to rotate a little bit so you can see. So my right arm is reaching out in front, left arm is reaching up, getting a little bit of a side bend, a little bit of a twist. Lower that side and come up on the other side. Come back through center. You can stick with that variation, or if you're needing stillness, just come back to stillness holding your yogic squat. If you want to explore a bind, wrap the right arm in front and around, and then the left arm comes back behind you. See if you can find the right fingers with the left, and then your gaze can be up past the left shoulder towards the ceiling. Slowly unravel, and let's do the other side. Left arm reaches around that left leg, right arm behind the back. See if you can find the fingers. Even if you can't find the fingers, that's fine. And then setting your gaze. Slowly unwind. Walk the hands to the top of the mat. Step your left foot back behind you and step your right foot all the way to the top of the mat on the outside of that right hand. Lower the back knee and tuck the back foot. And coming onto the knife edge of your right foot, open the knee out to the side and coming into our lizard lunge. We'll be doing a few different hip opening poses here. Again, to release any pent up feelings or emotions that might be residing there. And this might be enough for you. If you feel like you could handle a little bit more, maybe that you need a little bit more, you can lower down to the forearms. Steady the gaze, steady the breath, steady the mind. If you're down on the forearms, coming back up, bringing your weight into your left hand, bend through your back leg, look past your right knee, and bring the right hand back behind you. You can stay right here, maybe if you can't reach the foot, or if you can grab the foot, just pulling it in, getting your quads into the mix as well. Release that back foot. Come back through center. Tuck the back toes, pick up that back knee, and step the right foot all the way back. Left foot comes forward. Lower down onto the right knee and tuck the right foot. Knife edge of the left foot. Open the knee to the side. Lizard lunge. And again, you can find stillness here. If you want more, lowering down. If lowering down ever becomes too much, there is no harm, no shame, and coming out of it a little bit sooner. If you're on the forearms, coming back up to the hands, bringing the weight into the right hand. Bend through the back leg, Left hand reaches behind. Maybe we grab that back foot, pull the heel in towards the bum a little bit more. Slowly release the back foot. Left hand comes back forward. Tuck the back toes. Lift up that back knee. Step the left foot back. Lower down onto the knees. Sit the bum back. And we're going to swing the legs out in front of us. Coming into cow face pose with the right leg on top. If this is too much for you with the legs stacked, you can extend the bottom leg and just wrap the top leg on top. If both legs are bent, bringing the feet to the outside of the hips. And the fingers slightly in front of you and out to the sides. Just a really small range of motion here. We're going to undulate through the spine again. Feeling that work into the hips a little bit more. On the next lower, we're going to stay down and really round through the spine here. You can bring the arms in front of you. Breathing into the hips. Knowing that that's not how our breath necessarily works, but visualizing regardless, fresh oxygen flowing to our hips. Clearing out anything that might be pent up there. Slowly come back up. Keeping the right leg as the focus, so the top leg, we're going to come into double pigeon. Couple options here. I personally like doing this with my feet on the inside of the knees. If it's in your practice to have the feet more on top of the knees or the outside, then by all means go ahead. And if this variation's too much for your hips, you can bring the right leg in front. So you're making a triangle shape with your legs. Left shin is tucked in a little bit, right shin is in front. Once you've found what works for you, leading with the chest, so a nice flat back. That means we're not going to move as deep. Hinge forward. Hands can come out to support you. Slow, steady breath. Every exhale, you can fold even just a millimeter deeper. We're not trying to impress anyone. We're not hyper-focused on what we think a pose should look like. We're merely feeling right now. We're merely releasing the tension in the body parts we're focusing on. We're preparing the body, clearing out through the body so that we can have more clarity and peace of mind. Now from here, let's round through the back. So lowering the forehead down, rounding through the spine. A few rounds of breath here. And gently bringing yourselves upright. And now switching out to the other side, starting with our cow face pose with the left leg on top now. Again, option to have that bottom leg extended straight out to make it a little bit more gentle on the hips. Fingers are tented, just a little gentle spinal waves here. On the next lower, bring the arms in front. You can round through the spine and just finding some stillness. You can close out your eyes or set your gaze down at the mat. And gently bringing ourselves up and getting set up for our double pigeon with the left leg on top or in front, leading with the chest. You can bring the arms behind you to help keep yourself from rounding to the spine. Once you come down and you can't come down any further without rounding through the spine, you can gently bring the arms in front of you, still maintaining that flat back. Every exhale, see if you can fold even a millimeter deeper. At the bottom of the next exhale, let's release our flat back. It's rounding through the spine, letting everything melt down. And we're rounding up. Seated, release the feet. Shift yourself forward by whatever means necessary back into our yogic squat. Hands are on the ground, lightly in front of you. And then straightening through the legs, coming into a wide-ish leg forward fold. You can adjust the feet if you need to. Sway side to side. And checking in with how you're doing after those hip openers. Let's ragdoll the arms now. Let the head go, so shake it yes and no. And then with a deep inhale, as we release the arms, rounding up one vertebrae at a time. Bring the feet together as we come into a little bit of a balancing sequence here. Let's start with a basic tree pose. We're going to ground down through our right foot. A few options. You can keep your toes down as a kickstand if your balance really isn't there today. You can bring the foot to the calf or use the hand to bring the foot into the inner thigh. If your foot's in the inner thigh, push the foot into the thigh into the foot, and hands can come through to heart center, pushing the palms together as well. This all helps with our balance. Set your gaze. Remembering that even through hard times, like a breakup, when we lose a romantic relationship, our life is like a garden where we have multiple plants we're tending to. And our romantic relationships are one of those. And they might even be one of the bigger ones. But we still have other plants that need our tending. That might be our family, our friends, our hobbies, our careers, our pets, our kids. So reflecting here in this balancing tree pose, acknowledging everything else we have in our lives. And maybe we don't have many other plants in our garden right now. Maybe this is a realization that we need to plant some other ones. Maybe this is a prime opportunity to replenish any of those plants that may have been forgotten about, so we can water them and tend to them and help them flourish even more. Letting your branches grow here. Keeping your focused gaze. Bringing a gentle smile onto your face by curling up the outer edges of your mouth. You can still find happiness amidst sorrow by simply bringing even a gentle smile onto our face. It can help change our mood. Gently lower the arms as you lower the left leg down. Hands can come to hips as we get set up on the other side. And so wherever you placed the left foot on the other side, let's do the same with the right foot on this side. If your foot is at the inner thigh, pushing the foot into the thigh and the thigh into the foot, bringing your hands through to heart center, wherever your foot is, pushing the palms together. Setting that focused gaze. And in your mind's eye, visualize your life garden. Acknowledge all of the other plants. Acknowledge any plants that might not yet be planted, that you might want to buy some seeds for. Letting your arms come out like tree branches growing, like the plants in your life garden growing. Slowly releasing the arms down as you lower the foot down. Grounding down through the right foot, pick up the left knee and cross the knee over the right as you sit down. Arms can be used as balance to start, and see if you can cross the ankle behind the shin. If not, having just the knees crossed is totally fine. We'll start with our hands in prayer for this first round of eagle. Sitting down a little bit deeper, bringing your knees a little bit more to the left just to square things up. See if you can bring your chest a little bit more upright. And we'll slowly release. Ground through the left foot. Cross the right knee up and over. Crossing the ankle behind the shin. Maybe it tucks. Maybe it just stays on the outside of the leg. Hands come through to heart center. Push the palms to help with your balance. Sit the hips down. Pull the knees a little bit more to the right. See if you can lift your chest up a little bit more. Slowly release. We're going to do another round of that and bring the arms into the mix. Both arms come up overhead. Give the left hand a little bit of a shake. Cross it underneath the right. Crossing and twisting through the forearms. Maybe the palms come to touch, maybe not. Sitting down into that right leg. Cross the left leg up and over. Lifting the elbows away from the chest, pulling the pinkies away from the face. Bringing the knees a little more to the left, elbows a little more to the right to square things up. Lifting the chest, sitting up a little bit straighter as we sit down a little bit deeper. Slowly release. Arms up overhead. Identify your right hand. Swing it underneath the left. Sitting down. Right leg crosses up and over the left as much as you can. Knees come a little bit more to the right, elbows a little more to the left. Lift the elbows up off the chest, pull the pinkies from your face, sit the bum down a little bit deeper, lift the chest up. Slowly release the arms up overhead and bring your gaze. Really gentle back bend here. Staying in this gentle standing back bend. Releasing the arms. Exhaling as we fold forward. Generous bend in the knees. Bring the arms behind the back. Try to reach for opposite elbows. Release the arms down slowly and gently. Let's come to sit on our bums. Legs extended out in front of us. With pointed toes. Really gentle forward fold, nice flat back to start. 2 rounds of breath here. And now rounding through the spine to bring the stretch into the upper body as well. Feeling that sensation along the back side of the legs, all up along the spine, up through into the neck. Slowly rounding up. Adjust yourself on your mat if you need to as we come into our final resting pose. Legs can be extended, feet the width of your mat. Arms can be down by your side. If you want a little bit more opening through your heart, bring your arms to a T or cactus shape. And let's do a little body scan. Starting at the toes. I want you to imagine 2 little bright lights like fireflies flying around your toes, emitting a warmth that you can feel on your skin. So feel the warmth from those 2 fireflies as they fly around your toes, your feet, your heels, your ankles. Feeling the warmth as they work your way up the legs, around the shins and the calves. And slowly working their way around your knees. Feeling their warmth circling around your quads, your hamstrings, all the way up your upper legs. As they come to your hips, they join forces, circling all the way around, feeling even more warmth on your skin. They circle around up towards your belly button, around your rib cage, slowly flying around your chest, your shoulders, splitting apart again at your shoulders as they each circle around your upper arms, slowly bringing their warmth towards the elbows, and down along the forearms, making their way towards your wrists, your palms, circling all the way around your fingers. Flying now to meet together, to circle around your neck, feeling their warmth, circling up around your jaw, your mouth and your ears, around your eyes, your temples, around your forehead, circling all the way around your head to the very top of your skull, where their light and their warmth sprinkle away. You're welcome to remain here in Shavasana for as long as you may need. I thank you for joining me today. May your heavy heart feel a bit more light. And in closing, we say, Namaste.